Okay, this is the second part of the video I made yesterday, as I promised. It's been an interesting couple of days, has to be said. Got involved in a bit of a debate with this guy on the independent newspaper website, in the comment section. And we were pulling sources left, right and centre. One of them was full fact, which I gave him all the sources for and told him pretty much like Snopes, just a British version, not really to be trusted. So he directed me to basically the Foreign Office and Commonwealth website, because he said you need to look through that and you'll change your mind about the Lisbon Treaty. Basically he was trying to say that the Lisbon Treaty was nothing like what I'd actually found, been finding out of other YouTube channels and other websites. Now, when I said that, paradoxically, I was right and I was also wrong at the same time, this is why. Now, the information that people have been using for the Lisbon Treaty is wrong. It is. But it is also right. Now this is where things get interesting. You see, the Foreign Office and Commonwealth site, when you click on the treaties section, it gives you a chronological breakdown of each treaty. Not only does it give you a chronological breakdown of each treaty, putting them in, like I said, chronological order, it also gives you information on what each treaty did. Now, basically, from the first treaty that was signed in 1957, I think it was, the EU has been gradually implementing everything that people have been told about the Lisbon Treaty over time. What the Lisbon Treaty is a culmination of over, I'd say, near enough 60-70 years of very, very careful, very, very stealthy planning. Everything that was is going around on the internet about the Lisbon Treaty, again, is wrong, but also right. Because each and everything that we'll take Reverend Simon Sideways' video as an example. Everything he said there was wrong and right. Right? I know it's confusing, right? But you just bear with me, okay? Each and every point that he made was implemented extremely slowly from when the EU was at the EEC all the way up to when Lisbon was signed. What the Lisbon Treaty does is cap it off. That's the end of it. The end of all this planning. It's a culmination, like I said, of 50 to 60 years work that each and every one of these EU bastards has been putting in place. This is why most Remainers can't understand what we're on about. There was one thing about that Foreign Office and Commonwealth website. There's 2 treaties missing, and it took me forever to find any information on them. It mentions them by name, but it doesn't actually tell you what they did. Now this was the linchpin. This is what suddenly triggered everything and suddenly made me realise what the hell's been going on. One of them is the Treaty of Paris, the Paris Treaty, that was done in the Amsterdam Treaty, sorry. That was done in, I think it was 1977, that wasn't enacted until 1997, and the Treaty of Nice. These, according to the Foreign Office and Commonwealth website was basically, you know, they were just making amendments. They weren't making amendments. The Nice Treaty was what Ireland had to have 2 referendums to vote on. It was what the EU made them vote twice on. It was really that important. Although it was signed, I think, back in 1992, it didn't actually come into effect until 2005. It was one of the last ones. Like I said, the Lisbon Treaty that was signed in 2009 is the last one that comes into effect next year. Now, they're all full of very, very sneaky clauses. And unless you actually read them in chronological order, you will never get it. I mean, I was stunned. I was amazed. I highly recommend doing it, just to get a general idea of what I mean. Anyway, I digress. You see, this is why most Remainers have been so, for want of a better word, so much in denial and adamant that they were right about our opinion of Lisbon not being right. And in a way they're right. But again, like I said, this is a paradox. In a way they're wrong. When I found this out, like I said, I was talking to a Remainer, and needless to say, this changed his mind. The big way. I mean, this guy was a staunch Remainer. He really was. Really was. He was proper. You know, he was giving a good argument. He really was. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't as heated as people would believe. You know, but we were sticking to our guns. We really were. And I mean, I weren't having none of it. You know what I mean? I'd seen what I'd seen. I'd read what I'd read. The sources that I've gone to, I do feel are pretty reliable. But he did too, you know what I mean? And it was just that one site. Just that one site, one government site that began a rabbit hole that was just, it really knocked me for 6. I mean, initially, I did probably what he did and went straight away for the Lisbon Treaty. And then my heart sank, because it doesn't say what Simon Sideways and most people have been saying. But I don't know what it was. I think it was just the investigator in me, I don't know. Or the stubbornness in me. I wasn't having none of it. So I scrolled up the treaties section to the top of the page, which was Maastricht, 1957, and began to read, because this site was very helpful in what it told you about each treaty. Told you exactly what was in them in plain English. Did exactly what it was supposed to do. But it had, like I said, had 2 pieces of the puzzle missing, because I got through Maastricht. I was a little bit upset, the 1957 one. And then there was another one whose name I can't remember. What I'll do is I'm going to leave at the end of this video a kind of step-by-step guide, so you can go and find it yourself, go through it yourself. Fascinating reading. But anyway, like I was saying, there's another treaty after Maastricht. I did a little bit more. But then they had to make amendments to that in 1977, and that was the Amsterdam Treaty. That was very sneaky, because it wasn't amendments that they were doing. They were just slowly consolidating power into a smaller and smaller group. So they then installed an EU Commission, which we have today. It's all only elected. That was done in 1977. It was not meant to come into force until, I think it was 1997 when it was meant to come in. So it was 20 years after, when everyone had forgotten. But they actually started installing the EU Commission before they'd completely... Well, they actually put in a clause there as well, in that 1977 treaty, for the EU Parliament to have that installed. The EU Commission was already part of that deal. There's a couple more things. You know, basically they'll start making their own laws. All member states will start having to abide by these laws, and slowly the wheels turned. Now, like I said, I had to go digging for the Amsterdam to find out what was in both the Amsterdam and the Nice treaties, because for a government website it was quite lax and they had no information on them. All they had in the treaties page was these two treaties were just to make amendments to previous treaties. Now, whenever I hear the word amendment, I don't know about you, but it gets me a little sort of curious. What kind of amendments? What are they doing? To find out what was in those treaties took quite a lot of digging. I don't know why, they were both on Wikipedia, but Google was a bit sort of reluctant to sort of point me in the right direction. This Wikipedia page, by the way, that I found, had the details, and in far greater detail than the Foreign Office and Commonwealth website, every single treaty, who signed it, who's involved, what they did, what each article meant, what each amendment meant. By 1977, by the time the Amsterdam Treaty was installed, they had 796 articles in the bill. Yeah, right. They shrunk that down to about 500, something like that, by the end of Amsterdam. But whilst they were doing that, they consolidated more and more power into themselves. This was a sneaky plan. With each subsequent treaty after Amsterdam, you could see them ramping it up, speeding up the game. Yeah, speeding up, like taking more and more risks, in drawing in more and more sort of power to themselves, and taking everything away from each nation, basically. You see, the reason why they hid Nice, the Nice Treaty, was because that was the one, like I said, that they made Ireland vote on twice. And when you read what it's about, you understand why there was so much involved with that one treaty, just that one. Because this was the one that was the last one signed before Lisbon, which was the end game. I've got some bad news for you all, and something that really made my heart sink. As of 2009, when we signed Lisbon, we became a federal state of the EU. Our Parliament has been doing nothing since 2009. They've not been able to do anything. They've had no power. We've been an EU state since 2009, since we signed Lisbon. It's just been going on in the background. This was part of the Lisbon deal. This was part of what Gordon Brown signed. This is how drastic things are. This is also why I think one of the reasons why the EU has been so desperate to stop us leaving, because then it'll all come out that we've been part of the EU already. We've already been an EU state. Ever since, as soon as, like I said, the EU Commission was installed, which was when Amsterdam kicked in 1997. That was when the process to create the federal European states began. And as I just said, Lisbon was the end game, was the end deal. That was the end of it. That was the capstone. Parliament's just been poking, but talking is just a waste of money. Because there's a reason why they got rid of all of our sort of manufacturing as well, which was part of all these treaties. It was all planned. They made us basically the actual financial centre of the EU, which is the reason why they're keeping us in. It's not Frankfurt, it's not Germany. Germany hasn't been able to do any sort of financial deals since 2008, when it became very apparent that the Germans were lying to the rest of the EU and were deeply involved in that mortgage crisis already. And that's when that mortgage bubble began. So from then, basically Britain became the EU's bank. We were their main financial hub. But it was all kept secret, all covered up. Now do you understand why they want to keep us in? It's been a dark day today, I tell you. But I think now you understand why I still posted that video anyway, even when I found this out. Because I don't really need to go over everything what the Lisbon Treaty said, because it wasn't the Lisbon Treaty, fair enough. But it was what every single treaty before then said. It's a despicable plan, and we've all fallen for it. Any Remainers watching, follow the steps that I'll leave at the end of this video. No one in a right mind will even attempt to try and refute it, because you can't. It's all there in black and white, it's all there in plain English. They tell you straight, just proper, in a no-nonsense, straightforward way, step by step what they do. That's how amazed I was that they put it all in chronological order, because it just made everything fall into place. Anyway, I'll leave that with y'all. Okay? Next video I'll be back on. I'll be off Brexit, hopefully. And then what we're left. And we'll get back to the ancient history side of things. Anyway. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. And we'll see you later. Bye.